What's your name?
Stanley Jones.
Okay.
We're here to more or less get the DEP to start backing down a little. I mean, we all need to clean, but we also need fair. There's a fairness in this for coal. Coal is not as dirty as it used to be, and it can be a lot cleaner. That's what we need to do, get it set up to let them work with the people and get the coal up, keep jobs here, and because I think we're after to make a good living.
Okay, and where do you work? Where did you work? Are you retired? Or
I'm retired now. I'm retired coal miner. I have 40 years in.
Thanks.
Walter, Mordecai Jr. I came up from Fairmont, West Virginia, and I'm here to support the mine workers. I'm an ex-coal miner, and I don't particularly care how the EPA is treating American citizens. Men like us worked in the mines.
How long did you work in the mines?
I got a total of 8 years in, 6 in Pennsylvania, 2 in West Virginia, and I must say it is the best job I ever had. I worked with some superb men. We looked out for each other, we covered each other, and you won't find any better man than United Mine Workers of America. I would never work in a non-union mine, never. I am United Mine Workers of America. Solid, that's it, right there. From what some non-union miners have told me, they're pretty rough. The water, the roof, just the overall conditions. Men who work in a union mine, they're safer, they're more productive, and it's just a better work atmosphere to be in. Right now, I think this is the most crucial time for coal miners in this country. I don't feel the government is doing right by us. It's not just the president, it's the powers that be. The people in the EPA, they're saying that coal is contributing to the gas house emissions, but it is not just coal, it's other industries too. So don't pin everything on coal. Coal made this country. Coal kept this country going through the First World War, Second World War, through the Depression. Keep coal going. Coal miners need their jobs. I think one thing the government can do is stop being so adamant about coal and what it's doing to the atmosphere. Coal is a vital part of how this nation runs. It powers our systems. It keeps this nation going. So coal is still essential to this nation's economy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Cecil Roberts, president of the United Mine Workers. Well, we've had a number of demonstrations. We had about 7,000 people in Pittsburgh on August 31st. The EPA has promulgated 2 rules. One eliminates any prospects for new coal-fired power plants to be constructed. The second rule is going to devastate the existing coal-fired power plants. What that's going to do is cause massive unemployment throughout the coal fields of particularly in Appalachia. They've had, they being the EPA, have held hearings throughout the country. They absolutely refuse to come to the coal fields. They refuse to come anywhere in Appalachia. They're treating us just like we don't exist, that we're not part of the United States, and we have no right to any voice in how these rules are being promulgated. So when they held the hearing in Pittsburgh, we had a massive demonstration, and today we're bringing about 500 people here, probably more like 600. We have boilermakers with us and a few railroad workers, but mostly retired coal miners. We're going to march from here up to the EPA headquarters and say, we're not going to go away. You need to deal with the fact you're eliminating retirees' pensions, 92,000 people. You're eliminating health care for over 100,000 people. We've lost already since 2011 15,000 coal mining jobs. in the coal fields alone in Appalachia. Each one of those jobs represents another 4 jobs. So there's been somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 80,000 good paying jobs. Most of those are union jobs, by the way. And they're the best jobs in Appalachia. It's going to erode the tax base. The educational opportunities for these kids coming up in grade school and middle school and high school is going to be drastically reduced. The opportunities for infrastructure in these coalfield states are going to be devastated. And the mom and pop restaurants, everything's adversely affected here, and they just don't seem to care.
Well, if the government is changing the laws as far as the environment, why aren't there protection for workers who are going to be adversely affected?
Well, there's two. I think you're making an important point here. One is, when I was in civics in 9th grade, they told me only Congress promulgated laws, right? And then the court systems, and of course the president could decide whether to veto a law, right? And also that the Supreme Court and the courts below the Supreme Court decided how to interpret those laws passed by Congress. I understand these laws have not been promulgated by Congress, not passed by the House of Representatives or the United States Senate. They could not pass, obviously, the Republican-controlled House, and they could not pass the Democratic-controlled Senate. So we're having laws passed basically over in a building without input of the government. The United States is supposed to be a government of the people and by the people and for the people. The people's representation has been taken completely out of this. Well, but to go to the second part of your question is that they have not taken into consideration whatsoever the jobs that are being lost here, the fact that they're taking money out of the economy, that the pension plans are destroyed, the health care plans are destroyed. There's no infrastructure in place here by our government to deal with the devastation that they're reaping upon the people of Appalachia. So there's 2 problems here, obviously. One is I don't think that any bureaucracy, any division of government is supposed to be able to make laws. That's number one. That's the Constitution I remember. The second part of this is the rules and the laws that they've promulgated here devastate all of the people who are gathering here today, not to mention all the unemployed miners back home.
Well, why isn't this an issue in this country? Because if people are being adversely affected, workers who have good jobs,
well, do you know?
I mean, they're destroying the jobs and.
Well, here's the thing about this.
Who does Congress and the people, the government represent?
Well, the problem with this, the Congress didn't do this. The EPA did this. Now, Congress has not been able to change what the EPA has done.
Congress can't stop it?
Congress could stop it if there was a will in Congress to stop it. There is not a majority in the Senate and a majority in the House that wants to stop what's going on here, okay? And there's a great divide here in our country about some people are some very progressive people in our country, so this is a great idea. We're going to reduce greenhouse gases. But the last point about these rules, they don't work. They reduce greenhouse gases worldwide by 1%. At the same time that China is burning 4 billion tons of coal a year, and by the way, will increase the amount of coal consumption every year for the next 20 years. India has already declared that they're going to develop their coal fields, they're going to fire their economy by coal, and we're going to be competing with China as we already are, and then we're going to be competing with India. More manufacturing jobs are going to leave this country. We're making horrendous policy here, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Isn't that business, though? You go where you make the most profit. If you can go non-union, go slave labor.
Oh, that's true.
Isn't that
That's true. That's true. But remember something here, that this is going to make it worse. Business is going to go where there's cheap labor, cheap electricity, right? So where's the cheap electricity going to be? China. So we're going to be competing even a greater disadvantage than we already are when we're competing with unfair wages, basically slave labor, in some instances around the world, child labor. So what we have to be about, we can do better than this.
Why is labor on the defensive in the United States?
I'm so sorry, we're about to start.
Okay.
Well, labor's on the defensive. I don't think we're on the...
Worker. I work for the international office.
I see.
So, basically, we're down here because the EPA is basically putting regulations down on coal. And basically what's happening is when these regulations come in, a lot of the coal miners that are out in Appalachia, West Virginia, and some of our states that are in the Midwest, basically these states rely on coal. So basically when the EPA puts in these regulations, and a lot of these coal miners are going to be out of jobs.
I'm retired now.
What company?
CSX.
CSX. How do they treat their workers?
Well, they treat the workers good. When I left,
How long did you work for the railroad?
16 years, and it hurt my back. But the EPA, what they're wanting to do, it's not going to matter. All the other things that are going on is not helping in global warming. It's not going to make any difference anyhow. Got their stuff stuck in, their nose stuck in so much stuff anyhow. That's what's wrong with this country today, the government. Now, we are supposed to be the government, and the people we put in office don't do what they should. Well, they're supposed to represent the people, they're supposed to represent us. But when they get in office, I don't care if they're a good person or not, they're in there a while, they're a crook. The government is not like it used to be. It's completely changed.
Phyllis Brown. Well, you see, we're in Man, West Virginia, where they, back in the 1900s, they fit and fought to get the union, and so many people died, so many miners, and they gave their life to make it better for us, and now we're kind of throwing it out the door, saying, you know, the young generation doesn't want the union.
Bethlehem Steel in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
And you're a member of the Steelworkers, retired member.
That is correct. I'm a president of a retired steelworkers.
And what's going on here?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you, when Bethlehem Steel went belly up in '82, we lost everything. The reason we are here today, I wish you would get everyone here. Picture of everyone.
Okay.
We are here because of the pollution that the government is trying to say the coal is producing. And we are hoping that they change their minds about that, because the pollution that is gotten from the coal is very minor. It's only 1%. Why they are picking on coal is beyond us. This is the dumbest Congress we ever had. They took the money and ran.
And that's allowed under the law.
Yes, it is.
So they stole your pensions.
That is correct.
Ms. Jocelyn Williams, and I'm president of the Metropolitan Washington Council of the AFL-CIO.
So
What is going on here today is a fight for dignity and a fight for justice. We have individuals who have given their lives to helping to build this country underground. They went underground at a time when this country needed them. And now that they need us, the rest of us are here to say, those of us who are supporting them, that your fight is our fight. And as long as the EPA is trying to implement policies that destroy the future of the mine workers, we are going to be here as long as it takes.
Well, who is the EPA representing?
The federal government, the Environmental Protection Agency, and I don't know what environment they're protecting.
So how are miners being affected by the EPA rules?
Because what the EPA rule is doing is imposing strict, onerous conditions with respect to carbon in the air. And if you do that, what you are doing is killing the jobs of mine workers.
And what should be done to protect the jobs?
What should be done is that the EPA should sit down with these mine workers and try and work out reasonable regulations that balance the interests of workers along with the interests of the environment. They are not mutually exclusive. They can work together, but the only way they can work together is if those bureaucrats who don't know much about mine workers come, invite mine workers in, sit down with them, and work out some reasonable regulations.
Well, why are they refusing to meet with the industry? I mean, why would they be refusing to meet with the mine workers?
Primarily because we have individuals who don't know much about the industry. who are making the regulations. You can't make regulations about an industry that you know very little or nothing about. The United States by itself cannot get rid of what ails this world. We have got to do it in conjunction with other countries. And you cannot have unilateral disarmament on the part of the United States while China, Australia, and every other industrialized country is seeking to build its coal industry. That's why the workers have got to do it themselves. And that's why the workers are here, not the companies. The workers are here saying to the government, listen to us, we are the ones who put you in there, we're the ones who can take you out, not the industry that are spending billions of dollars like a Koch brothers.
Yeah.
I'm also disappointed in the administration. I think that there is a lack of understanding here, and it is our intention to try and do our best to educate the administration before it gets too late. This is the tip of the iceberg here. That's why I said today that this is not a fight about the mine workers. This is a fight about America's middle class. This is a fight about the people who built this country and who are now in the twilight of their lives, need to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Yep.
What I say is that there is a lack of education and understanding about what ails this region of the country. This country is just not made up only of New York City or Washington, D.C. or Chicago, California. No, the Silicon Valley. What you have is this is a country from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And we ought to start thinking about a country that covers a whole continent.